How's it going, guys? Cody guys back again, dropping more prison news. This time it's a story in the Mail Online, link in the description below like we always do. This is about a married prison officer by the name of Iain Cocks. You'll understand the irony of his name when you listen to the story. I covered this a few weeks ago. His ran trial. He was a prison officer at New Hall Prison, which is in Wakefield, West Yorkshire. Just check this out, guys. Married prison officer who had affairs with inmates, including a child killer who had sex with him bent over a washing machine, is jailed for 4 years. Iain Cocks, 51, preyed on vulnerable inmates at HMP New Hall in West Yorkshire. The married prison officer had a 2-year affair with the inmate over 18 months. He had sex with another woman who he had groped and molested other inmates. Cocks is jailed for 4 years for misconduct in a public office and sexual assault. A married prison officer who had sex with an inmate against the washing machine in the laundry room has been jailed for 4 years. Iain Cocks, see him at the start, 51, had sex in cells and a staff room during an illicit affair with a child killer lasting almost 2 years at Wakefield's New Hall Prison, West Yorkshire, where his wife also worked. The disgraced officer used gross abuse of his position, authority and trust to carry out the campaign of inappropriate behaviour, the court heard. Judge Simon Phillips QC said, "The offences involved a persistent and grave breach of trust on your part." Cocks, who had 20 years of experience in the prison service, was convicted of 2 offences of misconduct in a public office and 1 account of sexual assault following a 7-day trial at Leeds Crown Court. He committed the offences between June 2015 and May 2017, the court was told. The offences included asking one of the women to act out the title of the porn film, Debbie Does Dallas, during a game of charades. Mark McCone, prosecuting, said Cocks began speaking to the inmate inappropriately. The prisoner had given him a red band status, which allowed her for more movement around the prison, which Cocks had exploited, the court heard. The prosecutor said the defendant began testing the water by asking if she was looking at his crotch. Cocks touched the woman, who cannot be named for legal reason, inappropriately as she bent over a washing machine in the laundry room. They had sex for the first time against the washing machine in June of 2015. Cocks also went to her cell at 6 a.m. on New Year's Day 2016 and had sex with her. The prosecutor said the prison authorities became suspicious. Cocks told the woman not to tell anyone about their relationship. He had unprotected sex 6 or 7 times with the first victim in a clandestine relationship, the court was told. Cocks engaged in inappropriate behaviour with the second inmate when she was moved onto the same wing. Mr. McCone said Cocks told the woman it was like walking down the aisle when he first escorted her onto the wing. He also asked the women to wear makeup for him and told her it was difficult not to fall in love with her. So he had a wife. He was banging one con and then banging another con on the same wing. One of them was a child killer. Cocks indecently assaulted the woman in her cell by rubbing his groin against her. He stopped when she told him, "Don't you think I am vulnerable?" ? During the trial, he admitted having sex with a third inmate after he was released from the prison on licence. She was released from the prison on licence, Cocks told the court how he took her back to his home while his wife was working a night shift and had sex with her in the spare room. He also fondled her on a waterbed at the house. Cocks was suspended from his role in February of 2017. The jury took over 4 hours to reach a unanimous verdict on the misconduct charges. Cocks was convicted on the sexual assault charge by a majority of 11-1. So 11 people said he was guilty, 1 said he was innocent. During the sentencing hearing on December the 13th, today, at Leeds Crown Court, Prosecutor McCone read summaries of victim impact statements. One of the victims said the relationship affected her progress in prison because he made her feel like she would be alone if she was moved to another prison. She said Cocks made her feel like he was everything and being paranoid and fears being recognised after media coverage of the case. The other victims said he would tell her she looked beautiful and made remarks about how she would put on her makeup to impress him. The victim said he had carried out a campaign of inappropriate behaviour towards her. She said she felt uncomfortable at the remarks Cocks would make and he failed to respect boundaries. She felt she could not say anything because he was well liked by other prisoners and she would not be believed. The victim came forward after a fellow inmate had confided in her that he had done the same to her. Rebecca Stevens, defending Cocks, said he had suffered from anxiety and depression. She said his character should be taken into account due to the length of service he had given to the prison service. Miss Stevens said the case had a great impact on their son and 2 grandsons and his elderly mother, who he doesn't know if he will see her again. Sentencing Cocks to 4 years imprisonment, Judge Simon Phillips QC said, "You used your position to seek to exploit 2 female prisoners. It was a grooming exercise over a number of weeks. The fact you were able to persist in this misconduct is attributed to your knowledge of the system. You used gross abuse of your position of authority and status." Cocks was also made the subject of a banning order in from contacting either of the victims in the case. He appeared via video link from HMP Manchester in a black and t-shirt. It doesn't even make sense. Cocks sat motionless throughout the sentencing. 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks before Christmas, 12 days he's in prison. From prison officer to prisoner, guys. I've said it 1,000 times. I wouldn't have male prisoners, officers working in a female prison. I wouldn't have female officers working in a male prison. Why? Because it would cut down on sexual relationships and situations of this kind. So he's married, so I'm hoping his wife left him. If she stuck by him and she sees this, you're a muppet if you stuck by him. What an arsehole. He exploited the position. He was banging 2 cons on the same wing that then confided in each other. I believe from what I read the first time that they was quite jealous of each other and there's animosity between the 2 over his affections. He was married to a prison officer that was working nights, and then when another con got off the wing and got out and she was on licence, he was banging her in the spare room. Been down more holes than a Welsh rabbit, this lad. Not anymore. Next 2 years he's going to be in prison. Unless he gets tagged and he gets out earlier. But saying that though, sexual assault, so he won't be eligible for tag. Sex offenders, from what I know, are not allowed to get HDC or home detention curfew or tag, if you don't know what any of that stuff means. Very interesting story, guys. It's not uncommon. It's actually more common than you think, sexual relationships between prison officers and prisoners. And I don't actually blame prison officers and prisoners for this sort of stuff going on, because you work alongside each other. You've got female prison officers like locked in male prisons where they're pounding the landed long hours and they get friendly with the cons. And then you've got male officers like Iain Cocks, who became working locked on a wing for long sustained amounts of time with female offenders. It's bound to happen. And there's a line and stuff and you shouldn't cross it. I agree with that, but like I say, an old friend said, upstairs for thinking, downstairs for dancing. But obviously this didn't apply to Iain Cocks, who just was after a bit of this, that and the other. My thought goes out to his wife and stuff, God bless her, and the kids. He can't be suffering anxiety and depression that bad if he was scuttling her in the laundry and then went to a cell and popped a cell door on New Year's Day and give her a couple of inches in the morning. I mean, everyone loves a bit of morning sex, don't they? But I don't agree with it, guys, any which way. It's not a funny situation. He's now a prisoner. He's in Strangeways, which is a very tough prison. The regime is very harsh as well. What do you think about the story? Do you feel sorry for him? Do you feel sorry for the victims? Do you think the victims... do you feel sorry for them? Because they obviously, for 2 years, one of them was sleeping with him. And then they've obviously put in statements and stuff, as you can hear. One of them's a child killer. I think I mentioned it in the previous story. I think her name was released in that one, from what I remember. Anyway, guys, going to leave it there. Put a link in the description below. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think about the story. Like, comment, subscribe. Cody out.